Yo, what's going on, guys? I, of course, am Dr. P, and welcome back today for another video right here on the channel, and thanks so much for stopping back by. Now, today, I want to talk about what's going to be happening to the map as the iceberg decides to melt throughout the course of the coming season. Make sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Really do appreciate it. Help me get closer to my goal of 400,000 subscribers. So, of course, as you guys know, Polar Peak is a new POI for Season 7. It's a giant iceberg. It's the tip of the iceberg, and of course, under that iceberg, there is a castle. And as the iceberg is melting, of course, you know, there are different stages of the melting that are going to continue to happen over the course of Season 7. The first stage of the melting happened yesterday when they revealed the courtyard that the sword is sitting in. But yeah, that iceberg isn't even close to being done melting, and as you know, snow is simply just frozen water, and water has to go somewhere when it melts. So the big theory, I should say, that's been going around about the possible Season 7 storyline plot is this massive flood that could be happening at the end or towards the end of the season when everything melts. Because in theory, if that iceberg is melting, then everything else around it, all the snow around it in the snow biome, should also melt. I mean, I feel like that's gotta make sense in some realm. I mean, if it's going to be above the freezing point at Polar Peak, it's probably also going to be above the freezing point just a little north in Greasy Grove, or at least what used to be Greasy. And that's why there have been other theories that have kind of gone along with the whole iceberg melting one that say Greasy could possibly be coming back at some point this season. We'll find out for sure in the next coming weeks when the iceberg starts to melt a little bit more. We'll find out if the rest of the map or any of the surrounding areas will follow suit and start to melt as well. And if that's not the case, if everything else isn't melting, I'm curious as to why the iceberg alone would be melting. You know, that's definitely not science. Other nearby areas would also start to melt too in real life, so you have a lot of things to answer, and there's a lot of things that are going to happen between now and then anyway, and this is very early speculation. But what if, over the course of the season, the iceberg obviously continues to melt? We know for sure that's happening. The iceberg is melting. It's just a matter of whether or not the other areas are too. But I wonder if it will melt and, you know, create so much water, so much excess runoff water, that it literally just starts to form up and accumulate and make some kind of a little lake, a little pond. And trust me, by that estimation, I'm going very light on what I think is going to happen. I've seen theories where people are saying there's just going to be a massive amount of the map that goes underwater. There's going to be huge torrential floods. I don't know if any of that's going to happen. It very well could, but I just don't know. No one really does. But let's not get too crazy. I think it's very possible that the iceberg and surrounding areas could melt, suddenly creating an excess amount of water. That would be a pretty huge way to send out Season 7, and you know Epic's already thought that far ahead for sure. They've already thought how Season 7 is going to end, how Season 8 is going to start, how Season 9 is going to start. They've planned all of this stuff out, so that could be a very good transition into the next season. Maybe the next season could be heavily based on underwater skins, underwater life, you know, and it could just be a water season, because, I mean, that would fit the whole mold. If the iceberg does melt and it creates a whole bunch of water, that would change the way the map plays, because now you'd have to account for various lakes that you couldn't just walk straight through. Maybe even the water would be deep enough where you could literally dive in, and maybe that's a new feature for Season 8 or whenever the iceberg fully melts. This is a big theory that I've seen everywhere, and here's a concept showing what it could look like. So the iceberg at this point is almost completely melted. There's just a bit left, and then you can see the water has spread so much so to create a pretty big area. Now, in this estimate, the area is called Diving Depths, the area that is replacing a pretty good part of the map. I think being able to dive underwater is something that is missing, quite frankly, from Fortnite. You've seen other games do that, you know, especially, just for example, Call of Duty Black Ops 4, there's underwater fighting. I think it adds a huge plus to the game. It's just a different way to fight, And I mean, why not, right? It would be cool if, hypothetically in this scenario, you could dive into the water right here. Maybe there's a bunch of scuba diving equipment on the side that you could pick up, go in, have a limited timer down there. Maybe there's a ton of good loot down there, like really good loot, like increased chance to get really good stuff, so there would be an advantage to going down there. And then as you would get further down into the water, the light would obviously get very dark. There would be less and less light as you move further into the depths. I think that would be extremely interesting. I think it would be really good, and I really hope Epic sees this by some miracle. I've thought about this concept for a while now, and I'm wondering if possibly they could branch this out and have little tunnels, little passageways that might take you and connect you to other water sources around the map. So maybe, for example, there could be a little tube or little pathway inside of this place that would connect you to, say, Leaky Lake, Loot Lake. You could just swim through the pipe and it would take you to Leaky Lake. You could come out and resurface there. Maybe it could take you to the ocean on the side of the map and you could resurface there. Maybe the river. There's just a ton of different things they could possibly do with this, and that's why I think it's a great idea, something that would genuinely be a lot of fun for the game. And it genuinely makes a lot of sense for this to possibly happen based on what we know is happening in the game with the melting of the iceberg and the possible melting of the other surrounding areas, which, like I said, would make sense if that were to happen, because it's unlikely something is just going to melt by itself and nothing else is going to melt. So the odds are with us. Obviously, take everything you hear in this video with a grain of salt, but I'm just speculating about what might happen for Season 8. I know. You guys are going to say it's just Season 7, it just started. Hang on, don't talk about Season 8 yet. But I've always disagreed with that. I feel like it's never too early to start speculating, especially for a channel and a community like mine, where everyone is all about speculation, all about looking at that next step and what might be. So no, I don't think it's too early to be talking about Season 8. Let me know what you guys would possibly think about a new season in 3 or 4 months when it's over. That would be heavily based on water and floods from the melting of the ice from this season, Season 7. Maybe having an entire underwater themed battle pass would be extremely interesting. And the number one thing that excites me most about this iceberg melting thing is it's probably going to be leading to yet another in-game event. You guys know what I'm talking about, the ones that are happening in-game live only one time, and Epic announces it and encourages players to go and check it out. That's happened a few times with the rocket launching back in Season 4, and then again back in Season 6 about a month ago with the butterfly / the cube event. I would be really interested to hear your thoughts on what's been going on here in Fortnite recently. If there's any theories you might have, there's no wrong answers, there's nothing wrong at all until the very end, and then you are proven wrong, but at this point, no wrong answers. I'd love to hear what you say. Don't hold back. If you guys could do me a favor and use my support a creator code, it's Pineapplez YT when purchasing anything or buying any V-Bucks in the item shop. For anything, if you're buying the battle pass or whatever, you can use my code. If you send me proof, I will try to include you in the next video with a shout out. I sincerely hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications because there's a lot going on in Fortnite over the course of the next couple of days, weeks, and even months. And if you want to be, the most informed, know the most so you can brag to your friends about your Fortnite knowledge, make sure you're staying tuned to the channel because I'm uploading daily Fortnite content covering everything you'd ever need to know. I'll catch you in a new video very soon, and until then, peace out.